Okay, when you think about a slideshow, normally this is what comes to mind. You have a series of still images that are loaded, that are viewed sequentially, and sometimes you have a little bit more fancy layout, like this one has a little index that you can control it. But in general, a slider is this is what comes to mind: a still image loaded sequentially. Okay, now a ZapTheater slide is a little different. Instead of this being like one still image, these are actually there's four different items here, and there's a background which I'll show you in a minute. But okay, so each of these items, you have a left caption, a right caption, a left image, and a right image, and a background. And each of those are separate items in the slide, can be manipulated independently of each other and made to interact with each other. And that's all behind the scenes just take a quick peek here. Just make this smaller so we can see what we're doing. Like you have forms, and you just add, if you want to have opacity, you have a timeline for each item, and and along that timeline you can do all kind of neat stuff. And then there's a little menu at the top that tells you how that works, and we have a great tutorial on that. So I won't go too deep into that, but you can manipulate all of these images, any image, and any item here, and any caption, you can manipulate using this timeline and the features of the timeline. And as far as backgrounds, background is the other manipulatable item. So you've got these four items, both images and both captions can be manipulated separately. And then a background, just for the fun of it. And we could put in a background image. We could put background animations. We can actually put background images in and animate those. And we can use CSS background blending is built right in. And we'll come back to that actually it's in our tutorials. For now, let's just go ahead and let's say that we want to put a solid or a gradient background. So let's say that we want to have, let's go with a few colors here. So let's go with a medium violet red, and we want linear. So let's go with a gold beside that. And let's say we want let's see what another color that might look good in there. Let's go with medium blue, and I don't know how good that'll look, but that's what we got. And you can play around with these. You can, if we wanted to switch that gold to, like, let's say blanched almond, you can play around, and you have 10 colors, and you've got about 7 or 8 options here. We could go circular gradient. You can have fun playing around with these. When you're setting up your slide, the gradients are easy, and they make a very nice background. And you also have you have all these other background animations to really jazz up that slide. And so any slide is not static. These images and backgrounds come with tools and timelines, and you can coordinate those, and that's how you get the action in ZapTheater. So each slide is actually a little show in itself. Okay, let's go to ZapTheater's homepage. Okay, so here's the homepage, and as you can see, as you'll notice right away, that we have a slider, and it sort of grabs the visitor's attention, and so it's a good place to. It's a nice way to stress whatever you want to stress on your site. But anyway, so basically, you can create a slider is just any other ZapTheater show, and in this case, we've got like four short shows, and one show can feed to the next and can feed right into the next, and that's what we do. And then at the very last show, feeds into the first show, so we have a loop. And that's how the slider works. And of course, by default, it wants to take the full screen, so we just put it into we have it in iframe here. You could put it in any container, and just let it play. So when somebody goes to your homepage, they're going to notice that right away. Now, the thing about a slider is not just the visual presentation. There's sort of a backroom element to that, because let me digress here for a minute. Okay, let's talk about Google Analytics. The way Google Analytics works is when somebody comes to your web page, first of all, you need to put a tag. It's a little tag that you just insert into your web page. It's really easy to do. In ZapTheater, we just give you a slot and you just stick it in there, and it's super easy to do. So once you have that analytics tag, now every time that slide is loaded. Okay, so this is loading one slide after the next, and you probably don't want to put it in every slide, maybe every 10th slide or so. But every time that slide loads, it's going to trigger that analytics code, and that's going to tell Google this person's, it's going to alert Google that the visitor is still on your website. Okay. Now, normally, if somebody comes to your website and they're on there half an hour or an hour, and they don't click anything, Google never knows. Google has no way of knowing. If they don't click anything, Google doesn't know that they're still on your website. And so they could spend an hour on your site, and as far as Google's concerned, it's a bounce. They came to your website and they just left right away because there's no second triggering of the analytics code. So what this will do is, like every however many seconds you want, it'll trigger that analytics code, and Google knows you're there. And of all the tools, of all the reports that Google, the analytics it reports about the type of browser, the mobile or the type of device, the operating system, the audience, where the hit, where the visitor came from, what state, what country, even what city. It provides a lot of information, but the session duration has got to be up there either as the most important for some people, or one of the most important for most people of all the feedback. And as far as I know, this is the only accurate way, because if you have analytics and you don't have something to trigger that analytics code every so often, there's no way that you're not going to get. Somebody could be on your website for 2 hours, and Google will store, they'll interpret that as a bounce because they don't know that person was there 2 hours. So the analytics that's an important feature, and you can when somebody's not just your website, but somebody in your slideshows, in your presentations, if somebody watches your presentation and they don't watch it the whole way through, you want to know that. And here you can actually determine what slide they dropped off. Where did they stop watching it? And of course, with ZapTheater, the slideshow type format, you can maybe go in there and doctor that slide up in the next few slides and try to make it something more appealing, more interesting, or something. It helps you to retain, to gather information, to where's your slideshows, where's your presentation failing, and where do you fix it? And you don't have to go to a whole new presentation. You can just gradually work on it until you have the viewer's retention longer and longer. And so that's your slider, and that's your analytics, and those are they're pretty handy tools. So now let's take a look at images. Actually, before we do that, okay, so down here, remember earlier we mentioned we have three different animatable items. You have 2 images, 2 captions, and a background. And this is sort of a brief synopsis, each of these columns, of what the different features of captions and the different features of images, the things you can do with them. And over here to the right, is just sort of just more general information. When we say no strings attached, we mean that. There are none. It's free, it's easy, and there's no strings attached. And the only censorship is, if there's something that's going to harm children, or something that's actually illegal, we can't put that. We have to take that down. Or anything that's going to hurt children. Other than that, there's no censorship. No censorship. You can embed YouTube videos. You can include external web pages. So if you have a need, say, for a client to say, stop, I want you to buy this product, hit the pause button, and that'll bring up the external web page that has a form for them to sign up and buy your product. Or it could open up to a YouTube video, or both. It's compatible with Facebook, all the major social media, and we do provide we provide support via email. So if you run into a glitch or you have a problem, once you sign up, you will have our email. You'll have a way to contact us, and that's just the short synopsis. When you play around with it, you'll find there's a whole lot of fun tools, and it is free, it is easy, and there are no strings attached. So keep that in mind, and let us know if you have any questions. Oh, by the way, over here, watch our demos and watch the if it's something you want to pursue and set up for your website or for yourself. Watch the tutorials are here. And if you want to sign up, go to act2.zaptheater.com. We have our login and registration on act2.zaptheater.com. This is version 2, so that's why it's Act 2. But we don't want you coming here to log in. Is why we do that, because every time you log in, we don't want that to be recorded as a web page visitor, because we want to have an honest count of actual people that we bring into our advertising, etc. So thanks for watching, and have fun using ZapTheater.